So part of my past is because of a relationship with God like we all have. The Spirit said, do what I've called you to do, and I'll take care of the rest.
When you get into that space of realizing who you really are at a core, which is energy, then you can raise your vibrational frequency, your energy level, up to a level where you can connect and make that divine connection.
Black people in this country have to embrace ownership. We don't own anything. Therefore, all the dollars we get go out to somebody else who owns things.
Look for a miracle in America's mess and make a testimony out of your test.
Well, kind greetings and welcome to Triumphant Thursdays with Dr. PJ Anderson. It is so good to be with you again tonight, to live to see another Thursday. And we invite you to examine your life and identify the triumphs that you have experienced since we were together last Thursday. Everybody has, if you look hard enough, it's kind of like the silver lining or the rainbow after the storm, or that 4-leaf clover. You have to look for it, but it's there. And in the words of our other chaplain Maureen, when you really get kind of pissy, look for some gratitude, some reasons to be grateful, and that pissiness will go away. Call a friend or text a friend, invite a friend, a family member, a colleague to be with us tonight as we discuss stages of grief. And tonight we are talking about bargaining. And we did on our Tuesday night programs, Dr. J, we did remind the community or share with the community that there was a distinction between depression as a stage of grief and depression as a clinical diagnosis. And they may share some common, they may have some commonalities between the two of them, but they are also different, and different does not mean deficient. Right. It's important that we say that tonight. Different does not mean deficient. And then Chaplain Maureen was remembered to remind us that, Chaplain Maureen, it's your turn now. What did you say Tuesday night that Dr. J had shared with us? Do you remember?
No, I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay, me either. So let's go to the next thing. Dr. J, if Pastor Sue can put up that chalkboard that was a part of the article that we wrote last week. Those were some of the things that we talked about this past Tuesday. Yeah. And I tell you, some of the questions that came up were very, very profound. And one of the of course, Chaplain Maureen shared with us when she bargained once. That's what it was, Chaplain Maureen, how you bargained with the Lord if they, because you thought that those who assaulted you had come back to finish the job.
Yes.
And you reminded the community that that was your point where you bargained with God, that if you save me from this situation, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And you have done that. And then um, Minister Priscilla um, asked the question in terms of bargaining as to how do you know when to let go? I think that's the question in a nutshell. Whether it is the person that's dying that has said to you, "I'm ready, no more bargaining, and I don't want you bargaining on my behalf," or whether you are bargaining on behalf of another person um, who has not said, "Just let me go." How do you know when to let whatever it is go? And I think in relation to Minister Priscilla, and I was so hoping she would be with us tonight. She was talking about partnerships or relationships,
Mm-hmm.
um, where both maybe one party is gives, and the other party, she didn't say this, but I'm saying this, and the other party takes.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's no, and I used the example of years ago, coming home from work and seeing that my partner had ordered a dining room set. Well, she wasn't working. I was working, and I could not afford it. So I called the company to come and pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I tell you, that night she wrestled me to the floor, put her hands around my neck, and I was struggling and wrestling, and I heard this voice. I had a praying mother, and I heard my mother's voice say, "Stop struggling. Just relax. If she succeeds in killing you, so be it. But don't fight it." And within the next 5 or 10 seconds, she said, "You're not worth going to jail for." And and she got up. Now I don't know that I did any bargaining. I don't know that wrestling is a form of bargaining, or fighting is a form of bargaining. Trying to stay alive is a form of bargaining. So those were kind of some of the things that came up this past Tuesday. And I guess the primary question for me tonight is, how do you know, particularly when you're in a relationship that is not equal in terms of reciprocity? Not that reciprocity has to be equal, but it should be some mutuality there, I would think. How do you know when to say, "I'm done"?
Right, right. First, let me say this, because you talked about so much there. That was you talked about so much, or you all had a rich discussion. If with what you all talked about on Tuesday, I think it's good for us to know that. So when a relationship ends or is ending, that we grieve the ending of toxic relationships too, right? Because I
Okay.
think that sometimes we think that we only grieve the ending of something that was good. That if
Okay.
you break up or divorce, or whatever the nature of the end of the relationship, whether through breakup, divorce, or even death, right? That we're only going to grieve if it was something that was good. No, it could be a relationship where you knew we should not be together.
Okay.
We shouldn't be together because I'm giving and you are sucking the life out of me.
Hmm.
But when that relationship ends, the person who was having the life taken out of them, the person who was always investing and never being invested in,
Hmm.
might still grieve the ending of that relationship. Ask me
Okay.
how I know. I've been there, right?
Okay.
Um, And so
Sorry, didn't mean to laugh, but I've been there
no,
too.
it it's okay to laugh, because looking back, I laugh too. Like, but I'm
What
not
was
grieving
I thinking? Right.
I'm not grieving that anymore, but I had to give myself permission to grieve. I had to not judge myself. I had to not allow shame, not shame myself, and not allow anyone else to shame me for grieving something that maybe you didn't think I should be in. Right? Because sometimes people think you shouldn't be in something. And so when you are no longer in it, they don't want you to grieve. They don't give you the space to grieve, because y'all shouldn't have been dating anyway. And
Okay.
let's make this real. Let's make this real. Even relationships that, I mean, you really shouldn't be in this relationship. Like, so think about all the relationships that all the kinds of relationships that you can be involved in that you should not be involved in.
Okay.
And it ends, right? That you can still grieve that. And grieving it is, that's a natural process. It is okay to still grieve that. I'm not saying that what you were in was right or was good, but the grieving is a natural part of being connected to something and losing it. Right. So I think that's one thing that we all just need to acknowledge, that we grieve stuff that we shouldn't have been in
the first place.
But we connected ourselves to it, and now we are disconnected from it, and it hurts, and it's a loss, and we grieve it. So that's the first thing. The bargaining piece that may come into play, whether it is someone who might be on their deathbed, someone who might be terminally ill, someone, right, whether it's that situation or just the ending of a relationship, right, where death is not involved, we might try to bargain to change the outcome.
Okay.
Well, God or being, universal, whoever, however you are bargaining, we want to change the outcome. So we are trying to bargain to change the outcome. So if it is someone who is terminally ill, someone who is on their deathbed, we might be bargaining and trying to get the doctors to come up with some other kind of treatment. Well, I know you all said that there's nothing else you can do, but I heard that there was an experimental drug. I heard that you can still do surgery. Can't you? Well, I heard, or, I still believe in America.
My favorite, just give me a few more days, or just give me such amount of time.
Right. So bargaining to change the outcome, or bargaining to change the timing, right? So outcome could be just let them live, whatever the case is, or for the relationship, let this be different. Let us reconcile. Or bargaining to change the timing. Okay. Give me, like you said, Chaplain Maureen, Chaplain Mo, give me a few more days. Can we just get a few more months? Can you wait until the summer when all the family's here, right? Can you wait until Christmas? Can we wait until the new year? Can we wait until summer? We want more time. So we do try to, can we wait until we apologize? Can we wait until we try to get more time? So we do. And that's that's natural too, right? To try to fix the outcome in some kind of way that lessens the hurt, because ultimately we want to lessen the hurt.
Exactly. So now, how does a person negotiate that bargaining when the death is sudden or without warning or without fanfare? Where is there room to bargain if the person's gone?
That's the thing. You don't bargaining doesn't, you can't bargain for a change of outcome or a change of timing if the person dies, right? Now, well, let me rephrase that. So I serve in the hospital, and you can make a person a DNI, a DNR, so do not resuscitate. Some families will not make a person do not resuscitate, and they will want you to do compressions, right? They will want you to do compressions. And so a person's heart may stop. And the bargaining piece might be do the compressions, and Lord, please let them do compressions. Just they keep doing them. God, please, as they do these compressions, breathe life into them again. So you might be bargaining. Do it one more time. If you do it one more time, then the person might get their life back. So there might be some space in there for bargaining. But if the person is gone, there really is no space for bargaining unless we're talking about resurrection, right?
So what does a person do then? Let's say, for an example, that I had an argument with my partner that was not resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner, I go to bed and my partner sleeps in another part of the house, and tomorrow morning my partner's gone.
Yeah.
What do I do with the guilt?
Yeah. And we find a lot of people who have something else to say that they wanted to say. If I can think of them, right? We often want to tell somebody that we love them. We want somebody to tell us that they love us. We want to tell somebody that we're sorry, or we want to tell someone that we forgive them. So I love you. Do you love me? I'm sorry, or I forgive you. That's kind of the last things that we want to tell people. And with a sudden death, we don't get to do that. That's why I kind of tell people, do it now. Like tonight, when you get off, if you watch this, or if you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, on all of the various social medias that we're posting, call somebody and say this stuff to them now. If you have someone you want to apologize to, apologize today, right? So that's part of it. But you didn't get to do that work. So here is the reflection and the after work that you have to do with yourself to try to get that healing and the processing, because you can't, that physically the person is not going to be with you. But there are exercises you can do. You can write a letter. You can speak out loud. You can, we've had people have a picture and speak to the picture and tell the person everything that they wanted to tell the person. I mean, we've had people do exercises to get what they had inside out into the universe, toward the person. I believe spirit is with us. So there are ways to get it out of you, but you may need counselor, coach, therapist to also help you through that process. So yeah, it's not necessarily something that may happen overnight. Everybody won't need this, right? There are some people who will sit with the fact that I never got a chance to tell my mom, my dad, my spouse, my partner, my friend that I love them. Yeah, but you know what? I think they knew it. For some people, just that, but I think they knew it might be enough. But there are others who might have to write a letter.
Okay.
Right. And maybe take it to the graveside. Right. There are some people who may have to work through some processes or some rituals in order to work through the pain that they might be holding on to. So it can be a process for us to work through what we're holding on to get it out of us, to work it through us. Yeah.
Jamie, I just went through a sudden death with my friend, Pastor Janice Somerville. And she suddenly and unexpectedly died of a massive heart attack. And I found myself bargaining with God at that point. When I got the news, it was like, please, Lord, take this
Don't
pain
let it be
from
true.
me.
Right.
Just
take the pain. Right.
Take the pain. I don't know what to do with this. It's overwhelming. I've had 4 people die in a month. I'm going to lose it. Lord, help me, please.
Right. So that's just asking God to take our pain, though.
That's not bargaining.
Yeah, that's not necessarily bargaining. That's just like, God, take this, which is, I mean, listen, take this pain, right? Please take this pain, because that's a lot. I mean, and I know you as a ministry, you all have dealt with a lot of death, a lot of pain, right? And so, yes, take this ministry. Take this pain away, take this hurt. Like, this is painful. That's not necessarily bargaining though, but yes, absolutely. Take this pain. This is a lot for me to deal with. Bargaining could be, don't let anybody else die though, God. We what do we need to do as a ministry? We'll do right. What is right? We'll feed more people. We'll give more to. If you just let the rest live, we'll do more of this. If you just if you just keep everybody else alive, we'll do this. If you just keep this flowing right, we'll give here. So you may have still been bargaining, right? Because in your mind, I'm sure you were thinking about who's left.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Who's left? So in a sense, you may have started with, God, take this pain, but somewhere in there, I in my head, you probably ended up somewhere like, who else? God, don't touch this, don't touch her, don't touch him, don't touch them. Lord, what else do I need to do for you not to touch here?
Okay.
Yeah, I went there.
Yeah, because we do. Because we do. You know what? Take me. And then when you think of that, but it's this. What does taking me do though? You deal with pain, like it did.
So, we ended last time with the question of, and you kind of answered it. And before I ask the question, Pastor Sue, could you put up that definition of bargaining that you had this past Tuesday? And again, we acknowledged this past Tuesday that the stages of grief are not linear. And I said in my article, dear God, the error I made in writing and discussing depression before bargaining makes the point that the stages of grief meanders all over and around emotional spectrums. And we talked. I'm attempting to understand what happens. And I'm going to be transparent here because it's happening with me. I am feeling no emotion about my sister's death. None. Someone said that is the sure sign of acceptance and a sure sign of peace, that you're okay with her dying. Well, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I'm not sure. Because I don't know. I've never been here at this in this spot with this sister. And so again, I want to ask the question, is it possible to not experience any of the stages of grief? Is it possible to experience all of the stages of grief at one time? And I remember you saying that the latter was possible, but I don't remember what you said about having no feelings at all.
Yeah. I don't know about not experiencing any emotion, you know what I mean? Well, let me say this. I don't know. I want to choose my words right. I don't know that that's common. I don't like to use the word normal. I don't like to use normal. I don't know that is common for someone to not experience any emotion, anger, sad. I don't know that that's a common way for us to experience grief. But I do know that in one day, that you can experience me within 10 minutes being angry, being in denial, being sad, having all of those emotions wrapped up in that one encounter with me. And when a person is not feeling any emotion, I don't know that I would rush to say that it's a sure sign of acceptance. It could be a sign of being numb. It could be, it could be a sign of being numb. It could be a sign of being in denial.
I was just going to say, could it be a sign of denial?
It could be a sign of being in denial. It could be many things. So I think that the discovery is in reflecting, is in asking yourself questions. If you're a person who journals, is journaling, and y'all know, we all know how we all feel about mental health counseling, right? We approve of it. Is in sitting down and actually having some conversation with someone, because it could be that one thing I found about my own life, and something I've observed it with others, specifically people who provide care for others. And in fact, I want to do this specifically for people who provide care for others, is that sometimes we are so in tune with what's happening with other people's lives that we sometimes do numb down. We do kind of disconnect from ourselves. Yesterday, I was for one moment watching a little bit of television, and I don't really get to do it as often as I don't get to do it often. But I watched a little bit of NCIS, and it was an episode that was recorded, I guess, whenever it came on. It was a recent episode. And one of the characters, his name is Palmer. He's like the medical examiner. Some time ago, I suspect his wife died. And it's during COVID, right? So they're making it current. And he did not get to have a funeral. He also did not get to see his wife. Now, this is television, but they're making it real life, right? So he didn't get to see his wife, and he didn't get to have a funeral. And he was, making himself busy. He started taking yoga classes, and he was doing like all of this extra stuff. He's a medical examiner. His wife died. He has 2 new children. His mother has moved in with him to help him with the kids. And he's doing all of this extra stuff in addition to being a medical examiner during COVID, right? And while I watched it, I started I teared up a little bit, but then I really started weeping. I didn't know if I was weeping because I'm watching NCIS. I didn't know if I was weeping because 450,000 people have died of COVID. I didn't know if I was weeping because my cousin died on December 1st and his birthday is Valentine's Day. I didn't know if I was weeping because the scene of him not being able to be present with his wife in the hospital and her subsequent death and being able to do a funeral. I was in the hospital with my phone, having families on Zoom because they couldn't be present with their families and they couldn't come. I didn't know why I was weeping. All I knew was that I hadn't wept in a while, and all of a sudden this rush of emotion came to me and I had to sit with it. But prior to that, I felt a little bit numb, right? So as caregivers, sometimes we find ourselves having so much on us that we do kind of numb. We get numb.
To protect ourselves?
To protect ourselves, and because you're surrounded by pain. And if you take in all of that pain every day without rest, without disconnecting, without saying, I need a moment for myself, it's too much. And so what do? We say, okay, I got it. And we push our way through. And sometimes in the pushing our way through, there's this barrier between the emotion that's just waiting to come out and the work we have to do. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So being able to, so when someone says, oh no, it's peace, I don't know that it's always peace. It could be that, you know what, Dr. PJ, maybe when you get a moment to rest for a minute and sit in it for a minute and think for a minute without caring for everybody else, maybe you'll feel differently.
Maybe. Yes. Well, that's going to be a few months down the road because I got this dissertation to write.
I know you, and that's the thing. And so that's the challenge for us. And for everybody who's watching, that's the challenge, is that life has us such that we are always pushing. And I don't like to do that. I don't like to push like that, even though I know sometimes we have to. We also got to find a way, even if it's some brief moments, to sit in it for a minute and see what bubbles up for us. But I don't know that not feeling it or it is peace. I don't know that is peace.
I got you.
Chaplain PJ Sue just posted that saying that you were asking about on bargaining. This is the one that she brought up on Tuesday. I'll quote it. Bargaining is your mind's way of pushing off reality. If you allow your loss to sink in, you admit that it's real and final. Your mind is stubborn, so it scrambles and fights off the truth instead. And then she has another one that says, in the bargaining stage of grief, you attempt to postpone your sadness by imagining what-if scenarios. You may also feel a sense of guilt or responsibility, leading you bargaining for ways to prevent more emotional pain or future losses, which we were just discussing a moment ago, Dr. J.
Right. Pastor Sue, would you put those up again? I was off the screen for about 10 seconds. Sometimes I hit that sign up free when I'm really trying to hit comments, and everything that was there is gone. And you know, we are 10 minutes beyond our break. Before I go to the break, though, and I don't really want this program to be about me, but what I am wrestling with, there's somebody else wrestling with it also. And I am amazed. When I went to the grocery store today, just out of nowhere, I said to the cashier, would you please tell the lady behind you that I would like to pay for her groceries? Now, where did that come from? I have no idea. It just came, and I did it. And I wasn't, and the lady behind me said, you know, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that. Well, I wasn't trying to show off. It just came up and it came out. Clearly she was a welfare mother. She had 2 adorable children, very smart girls. And I just felt in my spirit that she was, that would have been, that was one way that I could give someone, maybe to relieve whatever is going on the inside of me. I also went to my podiatrist, and laughing and joking and having a good time, but it was like I was the observer. You know what I mean? It wasn't me, even though it was me. And that's the way it has been here of late. I've been more the observer than the participant, if that makes sense.
It does. Okay. Which leads me back to why I said I don't know that is peace. Doc, I'm gonna let it go.
Pastor Sue, how about if we do the announcements, and when we come back, I'll share the scripture that we used for this past Tuesday, and how sometimes scripture can be interesting. I'll just put it at that until we come back.
All right. Well, this time just goes by so quickly. The conversation is so good. Dr. Jamie, you are phenomenal. Oh my goodness. You can't get enough. And we're so blessed to have you on this program every week. And, you know, we might be trying to keep you so. We're so grateful for you and your knowledge and your expertise and your care, because that just shines through everything that you say. So thank you. All right, let's get into these announcements. First up, we're going to raise up as usual Dr. Jamie's upcoming workshop on the 19th. You have 8 days. You have 8 days to register for free for Touch Me in the Morning. Let's talk about loneliness. You can register today at tinyurl.com /touch is powerful. And if you missed the first one, don't miss this one. It's free. Come and get your healing. Come and get your breakthrough. Touch Me in the Morning. Let's talk about loneliness. And we'll put that, we're going to put that banner up with that. I will add the link inside of the chat for those of you who are watching. If you're interested in going ahead and signing up, I'll make sure I'll put that in the chat for you. Next up is Chaplain Maureen from Transformations Possible. Learn the law of attraction and spiritual principles for success. Chaplain Maureen is an advanced law of attraction practitioner, and she has life coaching services available. So if you are interested, please send an email to transformationspossible@gmail.com, or you can give her a phone call at 808-264-6252. If you are on if you join us on Tuesday nights, you know that TFAM National Veteran Support Group has a broadcast. We are also going through the stages of grief, and we use Tuesday night as a way to open up that conversation. And on Thursdays, when we have Dr. Jamie with us, we dig a little deeper. So if you are LGBTQIA, or you're a veteran, or you're a veteran who is an ally, and in particular, you are of color, we want you to head over to our group on Facebook. Look for TFAM Veterans. Once again, that's TFAM Veterans. Go ahead and join that group so that you do not miss anything that will be happening with that National Veteran Support Group. And I would like to say that support group is not just for the members of TFAM. Right? It is open to anyone who identifies as LGBTQIA, and you are a veteran, or you are a veteran who is allied, and you are of color. It is open to you. This series that we are embarking, that we have been going over for the last couple of weeks on grief, is just the beginning. There's some other things coming up, some exciting programming coming up. So we certainly don't want you to miss any of that. Please head on over to the group TFAM Veterans. Okay, next up, Cara Solutions. Focus on your passion, let Cara handle the rest. Administrative business and consulting services for dreamers, visionaries, entrepreneurs, faith-based and community-based organizations. For more information on all of the services that Cara provides, you can certainly go over to the website, www.cara-solutions.com. And I want to show you this as well. I offer remote production. So if you're watching, this show is an example of one of the things that I do for my clients is remote production and video conferencing admin and tech support. So I also offer custom branding, show development, training on Zoom or StreamYard or Restream, and there are a bunch of other things that I have, other services that I provide. So if you want to learn more about any of those, once again, you can head over to the website at www.cara-solutions.com, or you can email me at sue@cara-solutions.com for a free consultation. As always, we do we want to offer, you the opportunity to advertise or to sponsor this Thursday night programming, and there are a few ways that you can do that. The first is by info listing or a banner at $15 per week. And this, what I've just put up, this is a banner. So your information would go into the section, and up to 200 characters will fit in this section. This is what we call a banner. And that would be $15 per week, geez. Or a static overlay, which is what you're looking at right now. It is a flyer ad, that's $25 per week, or a video ad at $40 per week. and I will show you an example of what a video ad could look like. So there you have it. That is an example of a video ad. And if you're interested in sponsoring or having your own service or organization, if you need a video ad, I can certainly do one for you. And so you could also contact me at sue@cara-solutions.com so that you can have your own flyer ad. And that is all for our announcements. Chaplain PJ, but Dr. PJ will certainly give you the opportunity to give, because we know this programming is blessing your life the way it's blessing mine. But for now, we are going to hand it back over to Dr. PJ, Chaplain Maureen, and Dr.
So here we are, Dr. Jamie, and let's invite you to put on your theological hat for a moment. Chaplain Maureen, would you like to read the scripture? I think that means that Pastor Sue, we will need the entire article put up, so Chaplain Maureen can read the scripture.
Don't bargain with God. Be direct. Ask for what you need. This isn't a cat and mouse hide and seek game we're in. If your child asks for bread, do you trick him with sawdust? If he asks for fish, do you scare him off with a live snake on his plate? As bad as you are, you wouldn't think of such a thing. So don't you think the God who conceived you in love will be even better? Matthew 7:7-11 from the Message.
So, what are your thoughts about that, Dr. Maureen? Does that sound contradictory to bargain with God on the one hand, and on the other hand, be advised not to bargain with God?
So, people, I get in trouble with this.
That's all right. It's good trouble.
Yeah.
And it's helpful for those of us who were brought up to take the word literally.
Right.
Very helpful. Very helpful.
So the bargaining with God, when we are saying, God, I don't want you to take my loved one. Can you give me some more time with them? That's a process.
Okay.
I'm processing.
Okay.
Like, I'm in pain. I am processing. To take that and to say that I am going against God's, you know what I'm saying? To position it in a way that would maybe call it sinful. I don't know if that's what, you know what I mean? For me, I can't sit with that. I can't sit with that because one, even Jesus said, do I have to do this thing
See,
here?
that's what
Take
I'm
this
talking
cup
about.
from me.
Can you take this thing here? I mean, I don't know if this
Yes.
is the thing I want to do.
Sure, sure.
So I think I'm always cautious to not tell people in their processing pain, right? That well, the Lord would want your, that's why we have to
Right.
be careful, even with the language that we use around death and dying.
Sure.
That God wants your loved one more. That God,
Yes.
you love them, but God loved them best. Okay,
Sure.
that's my mama.
Right.
And God was fine with my mama here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right? I'm the one that's gonna be in pain with my mama going.
Uh-huh.
So I'm always careful with language. So no, I don't think it's the same thing. One,
Absolutely.
and I'm processing, and
Mhm.
I believe that as human that God has created, as wonderful being that God has created, I have the right to process the pain that I am feeling because of this connection that I have with other beautiful being that God has created that will no longer be by my side. However, our relationship has been, whether it is my child, my spouse, whatever that relationship was, I have the right to process that. And if in that processing, I say, God, I met a couple who had been married for 75 years.
My Lord. That's a long time.
He was 99. She was 97. Yes. I'm like, maybe get their ages right. We've been with somebody for 75 years. He said, I cannot live without her. Guess what? I felt that.
Yes.
I thought I had a broadcast to run, Manera.
Is
Whoops.
he wrong for saying, I don't want her to leave this earth without me? His whole time on earth has been with her. 75 years. So no, that is no, I have the right to process. And if in my processing, part of that is a dance with God. Because even in that conversation, that is me and God dancing. That is for my faith tradition, right? I am a Christian woman. However, I work through my Christianity, right? It is me and God dancing, me saying, God, how I don't want them to leave. Not so much I don't want you to take them. I don't want this sickness I want them here with me. And okay, the sickness is taking its toll, but I still want them here with me. And it is God saying, well, you still have family who will comfort you, and I am with you, and I'm going to give you strength, and your family and community will give you strength. I hear you, God, but I still want them here. Like, it is a dance that we are doing together.
Sure.
And
Are
that's
both of them still living?
No.
Okay, so how far apart did they die?
4 days.
My goodness.
She was on hospice.
Okay.
He told us that he could not live without her. When she died, he was not even on hospice. When she died, because he was like, I mean, he had a walker and all that stuff, but he was, I mean, people in his family lived his father lived till he was like 102.
Okay.
Right. 4 days later, their grandchildren were like, he said he wasn't going to live without her.
My goodness. Isn't that something? That's and that also makes the point. Because people laugh at me, and I've had a couple of people to say to me, I don't like that you do that. But I have requested May the 12th of 2037. And will I get it? All I can do is ask for it. And he makes the point that you can ask for what you want, which is the very next complete sentence, ask for what you need. That is also a part of the process. That's also a part of the dance. Is in asking God for what you need. And Chaplain Maureen made the suggestion that the veterans, I mean, the active duty folks could go and see their chaplains. And she and I were talking after that, kind of one-on-one. I said, not every chaplain is open to whatever the person is grieving about, particularly if it's the same gender couple.
Mhm.
I mean, you don't go and talk to your chaplain about your same gender spouse in the military, because all chaplains are not there. I read an article this week where 90% of the religious community is made up of the Southern Baptist Conference and the evangelicals. And those are the ones that they just well, did you see that? So we have to be careful when we are selecting a chaplain, when we are selecting a therapist, when we are selecting a pastor, when we are selecting a priest, when we are selecting a psychiatrist or a psychologist. We have to be kind of have some confidence. And I don't know that we'll be able to get into it tonight, but I'm just reading a message from a friend of mine. He and I have been friends for over 50 years. And I'm just finding out that his last brother died this week. Can you see it?
Yeah, he said he's not sure how he feels.
There's another there is another example of and I haven't I'll probably give Sherma a call after this, to see if he had an opportunity to do any bargaining, or if his brother had any opportunity of doing any bargaining, or if this was sudden, and hopefully this program will be of help to him. So what do we say? So what do we say to people who don't know how to feel? Because it may sound like a broken record. It may sound like we're going around the same mountain again, but apparently we don't have the answer that we're looking for.
No, so I don't think that we don't have the answer that we're looking for. I just think that sometimes it feels uneasy to say, I don't know how I feel. And the unknown is not a place of comfort for us. We like to know, and we've sort of been conditioned to say, someone has died, I feel sad, and now I'm okay. Right? We think that it should be a certain way, and this is how I process. This person has died. You're sad, right? Okay. And now you're no longer sad, right? Okay. You can go back to life as normal, right? Okay. Like this is how we've been taught. And I think that discomfort comes when someone has died and we're sitting here and I don't know what feelings I have. I don't know if this is sadness. I don't know if this is, I don't know. Matter of fact, I don't know what I feel. Or I don't feel anything right now. I'm just here. I'm here. I go to work. I don't feel anything. But that is okay too, right? We have to, and that's what I encourage us to do.
I think the absence of feeling is a feeling,
right? To sit in the discomfort of, I don't know how I feel in this moment. I can't necessarily name the emotion in this moment. I don't have the words. Like, to sit in that discomfort is okay. It is okay. You don't have to rush to the name yet. It's okay to sit with, I don't have the language today for what I feel, and I'm not sure what I feel, because I'm not going to push you to call it what it's not. I'm going to sit with you in whatever this thing is, and maybe we'll navigate this space together, and we'll discover some words together of what you might be feeling as you tap into it, as you start to feel it and name it, as you start to ask yourself questions, as you start to say what maybe you wanted to say to the person, or maybe say what you wanted to say to God. Sometimes we want to say some things to God that people have told us we should not say to God. And because we haven't said those things, we don't know what we feel, right? Because I'm angry as hell at God.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't say that. So I don't know what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't be angry at God. So
I remember when my wife died, my feeling like I didn't have any feelings, and I felt a little guilty about it. And then I went to her closet to start packing her things up, and all of a sudden I became aware that I could smell her on her clothing.
Uh-huh.
And I just wept.
Uh-huh.
I thought I was feeling nothing, but in that moment it came.
Yeah.
That little connection, that scent.
Yeah.
Brought it
But
all back.
nobody rushed you. Nobody rushed you
Right.
to it. You take the steps. You
Mm-hmm.
sit in the kitchen and drink coffee. You do what maybe you have to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, as death doula, as lost navigations, but I might journey with people, but I'm not pushing them. I'm coming alongside you so that you can discover this thing that you feel. But yeah, I think we sometimes think we have to name today, and we don't. We don't have to name today. We can just sit today in the ambiguity of the loss. We have permission to do that, and we can give ourselves permission to do that.
So I would like the listening audience or the viewing audience on Facebook or YouTube to answer the question, and I already know the answer. Does this help? Does what Dr. J is saying, is it helpful? Is it a start for you? I think it's a start for me. I think what you're saying is very, very helpful, Dr. J. I'm just not certain that I'm ready to take those steps.
Yeah.
And I thank you for not pushing, because so very often that's what happens, either from family members or from friends or from our minister. That person's in a better place. And like you said earlier, and those are some of the worst things I think that a person can say to another person.
Well-intentioned.
Yes.
But that's why we got to talk about this more. The well-intentioned, but it has the impact. The impact is it can do damage. It can do damage. Well-intentioned, but it can do some tremendous damage to people. So our language, our words, they really do matter.
Well, Dr. Jamie, the time has come to an end far too soon. But it is what it is. And I will be very mindful in my closing remarks, thanks to the conversation with Pastor Sue and with Chaplain Maureen this past Tuesday, to share with the community that everybody, that we are an all-inclusive program. And our desire is for you to be connected to your higher power. And we all have a different name for our higher power. And don't take don't be ashamed of that, and don't be guilty that you do not believe as your mama believed. or that your God is a different God than your father's God. Um, it does not offend God. I have come to the conclusion it does not offend God to be called Jesus or Jehovah or
Buddha.
Buddha. That does not defend. However you can connect, however you can relate to your higher power, to get to understand yourself better, to get to understand your higher power better, to love yourself better, to love your higher power better. All of that has to happen before you can understand somebody else, before you can love that neighbor. You got to first love yourself. And listen, God knows who you are. God pressed you out of God's self. The breath that you are breathing is God's breath by whatever name. So that's the first thing that we want to share with you. The second thing is we want to ask you to forgive yourself. And you know, that's that's where it's important. Yes, of course, ask God to forgive you. And of course, God does, God will, and God will continue to forgive you. But the real deal is for you to forgive yourself. And not to feel ashamed. It was what it was. It is what it is. And it will be what it will be. But we are taught, and I do believe, that Christ died for past, present, and future sins that I call disconnections. You're just disconnected from the divine. That is a sin. That's a bad sin. You want to stay connected if at all possible. Last but not least, we want to ask you to pray for us. All three of us. Dr. Jamie, Chaplain Maureen, and myself. Because we are called to be a gift to you. God has given us what God has given us for your healing, for your edification, for your affirmation, for your desire to live a good life. God wants God's best for you. So, well, I guess there is one more request. Not only that you pray for us, but that you pray for yourself and that you pray for your faith-based leaders, but that you also sow a seed into our ministry at $ space for grace MI. That's our cash app. Or drop a check in the mail to Space for Grace Without Walls UCC, Post Office Box 23173, Lansing, Michigan 48909. These programs, I give to the program $50 a week. Not that I expect you to give $50 a week, but just to share to you that I'm asking of you what I am doing myself, and that is to sow a seed into this ministry. Dr. Jamie, do you have any closing remarks?
Just let folks know, if you're watching, that it is okay if you don't know how you feel. And as Dr. PJ said, be very careful with those with whom you choose to go to seek help, because ultimately you want help and someone who will do no harm. which means you want to go someplace where you are accepted as whole being. So whether that is your therapist or your pastor, you want to be seen as a whole being. And so, again, your grief is your grief. Don't let anyone rush you through it. Get help if you need help, but make sure they see you as a whole being. That's all. Thank you for having me here again tonight. I love being here with you all.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear your mic. There you go.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Praise the Lord. Chaplain Maureen, you have closing.
I would like to reiterate something that Sue said on the Tuesday night program, and that's that sometimes the best that we, the living, can do is just hold space for somebody. She was talking specifically about ministers and pastors, sometimes trying to push you along the path. And sometimes the best thing that we can do is simply hold space.
Amen. Pastor Sue, we want to thank you. We want to acknowledge you, your tremendous gift to us. We appreciate you, and we want to acknowledge your pastor, Bishop-elect Reverend Dr. Vanessa N. Brown, founding pastor of Rivers of Living Waters, and your mentor. And we thank God that you are among the shepherd's table. We want to also congratulate you for returning to seminary. We know you got a lot of books to read, and we're going to soon get off this so that you can get to your reading. We also want to acknowledge and give a shout out to our bishop, Bishop Reverend Dr. Bishop Yvette A. Flunder, founder of City of Refuge United Church of Christ, and founder of Trans Saints, and founder of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries. God bless you all, and until next time, good night.
Shalom.